Let's bring in Basic Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga for more on this. Thank you so much for your time, Elijah. We do appreciate it. Let's just start off with the last week when it comes to matric exams. Umalusi has highlighted the fact that protests in the northwest as well as in Mpumalanga have affected some of these examinations. Maybe just tell us which provinces were affected and how many matriculants could not write because of the protest action.
Good evening, Heidi. Thank you so much. Well, in the Northwest, we had candidates experiencing a delay in terms of the start of the exam because of a community protest, but they were able to write. So that part was sorted out. The biggest problem that we faced this week was in Mpumalanga, Malahleni, in the Highveld, where about 1,127 candidates could not write the exam because of the strike that took place there. And we know that I think there was a person who died in that strike, and the protest turned violent. We know that people then went on to burn down the shopping center there or one of the shops. So that's how bad it was. But in the wake of that, the candidates from 6 centers could not reach their centers. Some of those that could reach could not write the exam because the officials taking the question papers to the schools were denied entry into the township, even when they explained themselves who they were and what they were going to do. That did not assist. So they faced the reality of not writing the examinations, and that threw that whole number of learners into a crisis because they've missed an important national examination. So the department is currently looking into that matter.
That is rather concerning and disheartening to know that matric pupils as well as educators were denied access. Are you able to give us a number as to how many were not able to write, or are you still collating those figures?
No, we're able to establish that it's six centers which were affected, and there was 1,127 candidates who could not go in there. And of course, the school principals of those schools were also not able to go through. So it's a problem, and we've appealed to members of the community to refrain from disrupting schools because it causes unnecessary stress and anxiety among their own children in that very locality. So please, let's not continue that type of conduct because it is destructive.
So just for clarity purposes, the 6 centers you're speaking about in Mpumalanga only?
Absolutely, in one area, that affected area where the protest took place. And of course, yeah, we know there was that other situation in Gauteng where there were 53 candidates who could not write, but there it was not because of the community protest, it was because of a different situation. But the same measure is being put into place to make sure that they are assisted, because if they miss an exam through no fault of their own, then we have a responsibility as government to make sure that they are given an opportunity to sit for the exams.
So what was the different situation in Gauteng?
Well, the initial reports that we got was that there was a community protest, but upon investigation, we found out that there was no community protest in that part of the world. All that happened was that the school principal had informed the learners not to go to write for that paper. So the details of this are subject of an investigation by the Gauteng Education Department and the district there, because we need to find out exactly what really took place. So there is a disciplinary matter that is currently unfolding in the province.
Sorry, Elijah, did I hear you correctly? The educator told the learners not to write?
Yes, the school principal in that school seems to have told the candidates not to go and write, and these were told by parents who have letters which they were made to sign to confirm that their children were not going to write the entire set of subjects at matric level, but they were going to write a few and come back to write the balance next year, which is not a policy of the department. It's something that we used to do years ago, and it's no longer in operation, but it seems they were asked to follow that type of arrangement, which is not consistent with the current policy of the department. So there was clearly something wrong that took place there. That's why the HOD of the Gauteng Education Department is taking action against the individual.
Certainly, there's clearly something very wrong there. Has that situation been put under control? Can matrics go back and write, and do they know that they can go back and write, especially at this particular school? You mentioned Soweto.
Well, it's in Etwatwa next to Davidton in the East Rand, so it's Pandimfundo Secondary School. The school principal has been removed from the administration of examinations, and yes, the situation is under control. The learners are writing, and we expect them to continue to write right up until the end.
Okay, Elijah, I want to move over to a third issue that has been highlighted by Umalusi with regards to alleged problematic questions in mathematics paper 2. Are you aware of this, and what seems to be the problem with those questions?
Well, it was question 5.1, which was a matter of debate last week after maths paper 2 was written. It was worth 7 marks. We had reports coming from different parts of the country with some parents and candidates and teachers raising the matter with us, saying that that question 5.1 was problematic and that it could not be answered. So the department quickly investigated the matter, and the panel that looks into these matters also did some inquiry into it. But at the end of the day, we need to know that the quality assurance is done by Umalusi, and I'm glad that the CEO has been here to explain what is going to take place. Yes, it's a matter that we are aware of. It's being dealt with as it is. But what we need to say and emphasize is the fact that no child is going to be compromised as a result of that question, because there are measures in place in terms of the regulations that cover for situations like that. Over and above that, we have the standardization process, which Umalusi plays a major role in managing, which also covers for anomalies that arise in the running of the examination. So no one should panic and no one should worry. The matter will be resolved through the proper processes that currently exist.
And just lastly, Elijah, I'm going to ask you two questions in one. It also seems as though the physical science, or rather, I think it's the physical science, yes. Paper 2 was released before it should have been. And that, of course, is also causing a problem. And just lastly, I mean, just looking at all these problems that have been listed by Umalusi, what would you say with regards to the matric examinations for 2022? It seems as though there have been many hiccups and many challenges, and surely it's causing a lot of panic for matrics.
Well, Heidi, we need to clarify that the other matter regarding physical science paper 2 is not the Department of Basic Education. That is a different examination board. If you read the statement, it will say Sakai, which is another assessment body, which is equivalent to DBE, except that DBE is the biggest of them all. So you've got Sakai, you've got DBE, you've got the Department of Higher Education and Training, you've got IEB, and you've got others. I think there are 5 in total. So Sakai is it's an exam body like us. So that matter has got nothing to do with DBE. So from the DBE's perspective, it's just the one of maths paper 2. So that one will be dealt with in that part. But so far, so good. I mean, we expected a whole lot of problems, but we are not encountering a lot of challenges in the manner that we expected. Remember, there was a threat of a strike, public sector strike, which was expected to affect the exams. It did not. There was load shedding, which we expected to disrupt the exam. It did not impact us as much as we thought it would. And of course, the other issues of protest, those are there. And we hope that they will begin to calm down as we go. So we're managing the situation. Remember that we also have more than 22,000 candidates that are additional in terms of the numbers of last year. So the system is bigger this year. It's being tested for capacity to manage big numbers, and we are managing so far. We are going into another week tomorrow with physical sciences paper 2 being written, as well as technical sciences being written tomorrow.
Okay, I disagree with you, but I disagree with you quite often, and we always agree to disagree. Just very quickly, Elijah, the weather, has that impacted any of the writing centres?
Yes, it has. It has, particularly in KZN, where at some point the exam officials were not able to access one school. They had to wait for the water to subside. There was a slight delay, but that was managed. There was also a school in the northwest where it was waterlogged. The learners were not able to access the school. We relocated those learners from their own school to a primary school where they are continuing to write. So the rain is something that we are monitoring very closely. The weather service is sending us warnings on a regular basis, so we know what's taking place, and we talk to our officials across the country about the potential issues that we might face as a result of the persistent rains that have been taking place.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that update, and we wish you all the best and the matrics as well, because it seems as though there are quite a few challenges. Hopefully they'll be brought under control. That was Basic Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga.